In a world that screams for your attention, there's a place that invites you to peace. You don't need a building. You don't need a choir. You just need to turn your heart to Air One.
Air One. Songs that heal. Lyrics that pray for you when you don't have the words.
From Lauren Daigle to Elevation Worship and more.
This isn't just radio. It's worship for the everyday.
Escape the noise and worship now.
Download the Air One app. Ask your smart speaker to play Air One or visit air1.com. Air One. Worship now.
One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelts. Shake it off with Mert and Lucas. Live starts now on AM 970. The Answer.
Hey, what's that called, Alex?
This is called Football by Pretty John 1.
How appropriate, given our next guest, Pete Najarian. He's a former NFL linebacker who played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Minnesota Vikings before becoming one of the most recognizable figures in financial media. After leaving the league, he transitioned to the trading floor, building a reputation for spotting unusual options activity and understanding how institutional money moves. He co-founded Market Rebellion with his brother John, creating a platform that delivers professional-grade trading education, market analytics, and tools designed to empower everyday investors. Pete has been a long-time contributor on CNBC. I've seen him on television. He's appeared on programs like Fast Money and Halftime Report, and he's known for his direct, disciplined approach to the markets. With decades of experience in both high-pressure arenas, the NFL and Wall Street, Pete brings a unique perspective on risk, preparation, and the mindset required to win in volatile environments. Welcome to the program, Pete.
Oh, I'm excited to be with you guys. It's fantastic, and that's a heck of an introduction. I very much appreciate all of it.
Hey, Pete, I don't believe it. While we were waiting on standby, Mert and I are fighting over who loves you more.
Listen,
apparently, Mert, I don't believe this. I don't believe it.
I'm going to say this. That halftime report show was like life and death for me, because I'm sitting there, because I got into options and I was trading, and I still trade like these daily options. So I was trying to, and I'm sitting there at that halftime report like, is there something that's going to break and make this S&P 500 just shoot in the direction I needed to? And it would never come. I'd always get burnt. And that show would be the final nail in the coffin a lot of the time. But how does it feel to make that transition from football to trading options? Because a lot of people don't even understand what options are. So how did you get into that? Because that's not a usual transition that we often think of when we hear an athlete. They usually buy restaurants and all this other stuff, or car
sports drinks. Yes, I'm waiting for Pete's sports drinks.
Cars dealership. But you transitioned into options and then made it onto TV. They don't just let anybody talk about this stuff. You got to really know what you're talking about. So how did you make that transition and actually be good at it?
Well, I appreciate that, and I really appreciate the getting good at it. I'm still working on that, but it isn't all that different, guys, to be honest with you, because it's just a very competitive environment, and it's just a little bit different, right? I mean, football, you've got to be right, you've got to be disciplined, you've got to have a short memory and all the rest of the things that happen in the sports world, and hopefully I did that. But as I got out of football and was getting older, I was almost 30 years old, I decided to walk away. And as I walked away, I was trying to figure out, I wanted to go to medical school, and I literally was just a little bit too late to be able to go that year. So for 1 year, I spoke to my brother John. I said, hey, I'd like to check it out down there just to see what you guys do, and then, next year I'll just go to medical school. Well, I fell in love with what I was doing on the trading floor, because I was on the Chicago Board Options Exchange trading floor, and it's everything you ever saw, with all the guys. They've done a lot of movies about stuff like this, and it's right. So cool, because it's a lot of that it's physical, it's intelligence, it's confidence, it's all those things. And you know what? When you look at that and you start saying, well, this is what it looks like to be a guy who's an options trader, well, it's a lot of the same type of personality of somebody who, quite frankly, played professional sports. Doesn't matter if it's football. It could be football, basketball, soccer. It could be hockey. It could be all those things. But you have to have a will to win, right? And hopefully, I think I did pretty well early on, and when I did, I started to elevate where I was, and the next thing you know, 20 years later, now 30 years later, I'm still trading options.
Now you could be.
It's great.
Now you could be honest with me, because we welcome brutal honesty on this show. So you could tell me I'm crazy, but would you instruct me to get out of trading daily options? Because I love, I feel like I'm young, and I don't feel like I can sit there and wait for a traditional investment. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, man, it's going to take me 20 years to make $1,000 off this one investment. But there's been days where trading these daily options, I've made a ton of money in one day. Is this smart for somebody to be in on a daily basis, or would you recommend?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I would say this. I'm right in the same boat as you. The shorter, the better for me. But you have to know who you are, right? I mean, if you're under the situation that you're talking about, it's very important that you do use discipline. And what I mean by that is, if it goes against you by a certain amount, and I use percentages for myself, but if the trade goes against you, for instance, you pay $4 for an option, let's just say, and now all of a sudden two hours have gone by and that thing's down to $2. You probably need to make a decision, and the decision, everybody's going to make a different decision. But for instance, I have a whole metric where if it drops a specific amount, I'm going to sell it. I was wrong. I need to get out of that. Or if it's doing well and it's gone from 4 and now it's trading 6, I want to probably take some of it off. And if I bought 10, let's just say as a number, I might sell 5 and I'll hold on to 5 and just see what happens with those options. And if I'm fortunate enough that goes up even further in this very short term that you and I are talking about, you got nothing but smiles at the end of the day or the end of the week. So I love trading that side of it, but it's not for everybody. A lot of people would probably say the opposite of what I'm talking about, but I think that what you're telling me, you like it, you've done well with it. I would say that's the direction that I would go.
I can't say I've done well with it. I've gotten lucky a couple times, but it sounds like if you're talking about a $4, you're trading options that are deep in the money. See, I'm trading ones that might be out of the money or right on that line. So that's what I'm talking about. I really need things to go my way. Like, if you're deep in the money, you can still get out, in enough time. So it's like that type of fear where you're like, man, this is going to go to zero.
Hey, Pete, to be honest with you, for those of us, Pete, for those of us who don't know what options are, because there are, I'm sure, some listeners who have no idea what we're talking about. Can you just spend a minute to introduce us, and then you could finish the thought? I mean, what is Mert talking about when he talks about options?
Yeah. So when Mert's talking about the in the money option, that's an option that's going to move very similar to what the stock is going to move. If it goes up 50 cents, those options are going to go up 50 cents. So it's pretty much moving like that. And but the reality is, you're not in the stock, you're in the options, and so there's a fractional amount of money compared to the stock itself that you're having to put up there. So that part's great. The part that makes it difficult is there is a time situation, right? Whether it's a day trade or a 3-day trade or a week trade or a month trade or whatever. I mean, there actually are options that go all the way out a couple of years into the future as well. So it's just a matter of somebody, if they have the confidence and the understanding. John and I have written books about this because we want people to understand there is more out there than just the stock market. And there's a lot of different ways that you can trade and use options, but it would take way too long to get into all the nitty gritty there. But I love it, and I've been loving it since I started on the trading floor in 1993, and I'm still doing it to this day, and I love it.
What's the simplest explanation for what an option is? Let's assume for the moment I have no idea what an option is. Yeah. How would you define it simply?
Okay, it's something that gives you the opportunity to trade in the stock market with these options. They give you that little bit of a blip that you can have, but the problem is for everybody is that they have a time frame within themselves, and that's what makes it so different, and that's what it can be. Right. A lot of people would say, well, that makes it a little bit more dangerous, but at the same time, how many of us can afford to go out and buy 100 shares of, for instance, Broadcom or something, or Nvidia, the stock everybody hears about every day? It's $204 a share. So this way you can buy options that are a fraction of that will either move with the stock, like I was saying, if it's deep in the money, or if it's right where the stock is, that option is going to move at a decent pace, 50% pace. And if things go right, it can be fantastic. But there is that time frame that's what makes options so unique versus the stock.
Now, Pete, let me ask one more question. I'm gonna put you on the spot here because I'm gonna make a slight detour, and ask you about NIL deals. Do you have any thoughts on NIL deals in college sports? What are your thoughts on that? Because Nick Saban just wrote a 100-page essay or something saying that they should get rid of it. What are your thoughts on NIL deals? And for people who don't know, that's the ability to pay college athletes for their performance. What are your thoughts on that?
Name, interest in all that stuff. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? The amount of money that have gone into it. Here's where they made a mistake. They opened up Pandora's box by starting this NIL thing. And, name, image, and likeness, it sounds great. Guys are, of course, very happy to get that kind of money. I'm with Coach Saban. I'm not so sure that it was the greatest idea. And even at the time that it started, I've been saying this because I've had podcasts myself that I've been on where I've talked about this. And, it's a very dangerous thing. And it sounds fantastic. Oh, you get all this money. But in a lot of ways, it's kind of ruined the sport. And that and the portals, because, when I played, you could transfer to a school, but you had to sit out a year. You had to wait for this time frame and all the rest of that. And, I do think that players should be paid, so I'll go to that far. But what I would say is this. Why wouldn't you have it so that the players that are on scholarship, let's say, because, they're probably the most likely to be on the field, but maybe it's everybody, but they all get an equal amount, whatever that amount is. And maybe it's $10,000 each. Okay, great. That helps these guys out because a lot of the time guys are going to different places. And, when I played at the University of Minnesota, we'd get kids that came up from Miami, Florida, for instance, to play up in Minnesota. They didn't have the finances to be able to buy the kind of coats that you need to be in Minnesota, walking around and trying to go through school and everything else. And, to have that little bit of money would have been very good. But, back then, there was no money at all. They wouldn't buy you a cheeseburger. So, it was that tight. But I think that it would be better if the players, like individual players, didn't get $4 million here to this quarterback, but this guy over here playing left tackle is getting $100,000, or maybe not even getting any money at all. So, I think that there's got to be something that would be smarter, and I don't think they thought this through before they just launched it, started doing it, and I think in a lot of ways it's really hurt college football. But you also can go out there and say, well, Pete, look at the ratings. Yeah, the ratings are pretty amazing for college sports. So I don't think they've totally ruined it, but it's getting more and more professional every single day, every single year.
Well, back to the market, Pete. What inspired you to create Market Rebellion, which is your company, Market Rebellion? Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, Market Rebellion's it's fun. It gives people the opportunity to see what John and I have been seeing for years, and we built these algorithms after we left the trading floor that really give us a pretty good sense on where are the biggest trades happening right now at this moment. And so we go through those algorithms, and we've got a lot of different services that people can sign up for to do that whole thing. And we just wanted people to have a fair strike at what does it look like, how does it look, what are we seeing some of the biggest traders in the world, whether it's a Warren Buffett or whomever else, are doing. What do their trades look like? And we're able to go through that with the algorithms that we built to give people that opportunity to be able to see that. So there's a lot of ways to trade the market, and that's what we offered, multiple different services. It's a lot of fun. It's something great, and someday in the not-too-distant future, we might be seeing a brokerage as well.
Whoa, okay. And that website's marketrebellion.com, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So our listeners can check out
Now,
marketrebellion.com.
can I ask this? Do you ever get tired of coaching and teaching people about trading? Don't you ever just be like, man, you don't have it, or like, why are you asking it? Do you ever get frustrated because everybody, like even me, they come up and say, hey man, do you got any advice? And I know what they're really asking. Do you have a sure thing? Do you ever get tired of dealing with that?
I don't get tired of it, but I always try to be very fair with people and let them and understand the markets a little bit better, and try to make things as simplistic as possible, which is not always easy because, especially in the field of the options versus stock, it's a much different field, of course. But I'll tell you, I really don't. I love educating people because I think that if they know more about the market and all the different, ins and outs that are within the market, it gives you at least a fighting chance, and that's what I feel better by giving people another opportunity of what's something that they could look at to maybe potentially do. They don't have to do anything that I say, but if they ask, I will always answer. And so, no, I really don't get tired of it.
You're a saint because Lucas, trust me. Once people find out you trade they're willing to put here. I'll give you $1,000. It's like, do you realize I could lose all your money? Or like, this is not easy stuff to do.
Yeah,
long
but you
term.
know what? Pete and John are great teachers. I've actually seen them at a conference out in Las Vegas, and I fell in love with you guys. So I've known you, Pete, for years, and it's great that we finally have an opportunity to connect. Now, personally, because we only have a few minutes left, believe it or not, I hate AI. I hate AI.
Here we go.
What's your take on the rise of AI-driven trading tools? What's your view on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm probably a little bit in your camp because of the fact that it really complicates things in a lot of different ways. But I also see the positives. So, I'm a guy who's always trying to find positives in everything, and I know it's crazy, all this AI, and it's been thrown at us in a really rapid pace over the last, call it 3 years, 4 years. It's incredible, but you know what? We just have to we got to get our arms around it. We got to figure it out ourselves, and we got to figure out the best way that we can use that to help us in our lives. So, if I'm writing a story or something or a book or whatever, I'll poke over to AI and see some of the ideas that are kicking out to me when I give in some of the questions that I might write out there and so forth. So, I think we just have to embrace it. But I'm with you. I mean, there's a lot of dangers that come along with AI as well, and a lot of confusion for a lot of people.
So they should approach it with caution and check out marketrebellion.com. You know what? Freak AI. Go with marketrebellion.com.
Oh, my goodness.
But believe it or not.
This man is crazy. This man is insane.
Pete, would you believe we've run out of time? Would you believe it? We've had so much fun. Would you come back on the program again? Because Mert and I want to fight over you some more.
I look forward to it. I'll do it anytime you guys want, and we're going to talk some football next time, man.
There we go. To learn more about Pete and his work, visit marketrebellion.com. That's marketrebellion.com. Thanks for coming on the program. It was a pleasure and honor to finally get to talk to you in person. We love it. Thank you.
Oh, really appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you, my friend. And in case you're wondering, you're listening to episode 105 of Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas Live. This is Lucas Ferrara, and with me in the studio at AM 970 Radio in the heart of the financial district is my co-host, Mert Roberts, affectionately known as the Mertonator.
If we talk football with Pete next time, he's going to have to talk about some Cowboys, okay?
I wanted to talk football, but you yelled at me before we started the show. Working the board.
You yelled at me too, right?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Alex. He was yelling at me, no, we're not going to talk sports. We're going to only talk about options. Working the board is Alex Garrett, host of the 5-star rated podcast, One Leg Up with Alex Garrett. Please check it out. And, of course, we can't forget Hermine Santos, who's working in master control where all the computers are. You should see that room. He's freezing back there with thousands of machines. When we come back, we'll be joined by Dr. Lois Frankel. She's a best-selling author, executive coach, and one of the most influential voices in women's leadership. Her groundbreaking book, Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office, reshaped how millions understand workplace dynamics, confidence, and the subtle behaviors that hold people back. Mert, Alex, I, all of us at AM 970 will return after these quick messages. Dr. Frankel joins us after the break. Now, if you ever wondered why some people rise and other people stall, she's about to explain it. And trust me, this is the moment every underperforming manager starts sweating.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 55 East 59th Street, New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
When Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860, America stood on the edge of collapse. Over the next 4 years, the Civil War claimed more than 700,000 lives and tested whether our republic could endure. As the war drew to a close, Lincoln looked beyond victory. He looked toward healing. In his second inaugural address, he challenged the nation. Let us strive on to bind up the nation's wounds, to achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace. Lincoln understood that preserving the greatest experiment in self-government required more than winning a war. It required the character to restore what had been broken. More than 160 years later, America still faces division. The question is not whether we'll disagree. The question is whether we still have the wisdom and the character to heal together.
Want more? AM 970 The Answer? Go to am970theanswer.com to listen live. Tune into podcasts from the shows you missed anytime you want. Learn more about our advertisers. Join the AM 970 fan club and sign up for events. am970theanswer.com.
RedState.com captures the pulse of grassroots conservatism. Red State staff of contributors are on top of breaking news with stories and analysis that challenge the established agenda. RedState.com educates, motivates, and activates passionate conservatives across America, arming them with the facts that put them ahead of the political curve. No wonder RedState.com is a must-read for elected officials and for citizens who want to make their vote count. RedState.com is the place where influence meets action. Log on to RedState.com today.
Everything old is new again on Nostalgia Tonight with Joe Sibilia. Join Joe as he celebrates the people, places, and phenomena that shaped popular culture. Sunday nights at 10 on AM 970, The Answer.
Country girls don't scare easy. Boots kicked off and we run that free. Laugh too loud, ride too fast. Middle of nowhere, making it last. We don't wait for the world to turn. We light it up just to watch it burn. Hearts on fire, that's how it feels. You can't tame us, country girl.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Hold your breath for the hold on tight. Better hold your breath for the ride all night. We're a little sweet, little gasoline. Strike that match, see what we mean.
I love this, Alex. I would want it to play out, but we don't have enough time. What's it called, my friend?
Us Country Girls by Moon Pedal Media.
Wow, perfect choice, given our next guest. Dr. Lois P. Frankel is a best-selling author, an executive coach, and internationally recognized expert in leadership development, particularly for women in the workplace. She holds a doctorate in counseling psychology and has spent more than 3 decades coaching executives, running leadership programs, and advising organizations around the world. Her landmark book, I love this title, Mert, Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office became a global bestseller and reshaped how millions understand the subtle behaviors that undermine confidence, authority, and career advancement. Dr. Frankel's work blends research-based insight with practical strategies that empower people to step into leadership with clarity, courage, and impact. Dr. Frankel, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me on with you.
I can't speak for Mert, but I was so much looking forward to having you on the program. What inspired you to write this book, Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office?
Well, the original one was written 20 years ago. Wow. And what inspired me then was that, I'm an executive coach, and back then I was seeing primarily men because that's who corporations were investing in. And I wanted women to have the same opportunity to coach themselves to success as men had. So I really wrote the original book so that I could give women all the same coaching tips that I was giving my female clients. So that's why I wrote it originally. But then, fast forward 20 years, and the publisher came back and said, this book is still selling. We want you to update it now. And I said, I don't really want to do that. I think I've said what I have to say. And then we had a little something in this country called an election. And I realized, wait a minute, women still need someone who's going to advocate for them because now many of the guardrails are off. And so I went back to her and I said, yeah, I'll update this for 2026. And that's what I did. So wait a minute.
When you say the guardrails are off, what do you mean by that?
What I mean is that we've seen an erosion of in DEI, and we've seen an erosion in women's resource groups and affinity groups, and just in general, the rights of women and people of color. And I feel as if women and people of color are going to need to be advocate even more for themselves, where these programs that had been around for quite a long time were suddenly diminished.
Interesting.
That is interesting. Let me ask this, because that corner office usually has something against these DEI programs, because these corner offices usually make decisions that say, I would like to hire these people, but I can't because I got to hire certain amounts and quotas and all this stuff. So when you're coaching these women, do you take all that into account? Do you teach them how to navigate in an environment that might not be welcoming to a woman, or a woman of a certain color? Is that part of the strategy when you're coaching?
Yes, absolutely. It really is about how do you distinguish yourself from everyone around you so that it is not, you are not a number. You are not a quota. And, I've worked in equal employment opportunity for 40 years. I worked for ARCO, the oil company, and EEO for a number of years, for 10 years, before I started out on my own. So I understand all that. I have a good grounding in that. And that is not what this is about. This is really about helping women put their best foot forward, helping them to understand that, yes, there is going to be pushback on you, but it doesn't mean you should acquiesce to it. It means that you should show how you are competitive with anybody else. And I think that's what's really important, because, the fact is that women are just as good as men. I'm not saying they're better than. I'm saying they're just as good as men. People of color are just as good as Caucasians. But oftentimes, we paint a certain group with the same brush, and we say, no, they're not as good as. They don't have the emotional wherewithal to be in a corner office. And that's really not fair, because there are some white men who should never be in a corner office, and there are certainly some Caucasian women or people of color that shouldn't be either. But you can't paint everybody with the same brush.
Amen. Amen to that, Doc. What's the most common self-sabotaging habit you see in people?
Yeah, what I see most of all is the belief that if you work hard, you'll get ahead.
You mean that's not true?
Sabotaging.
That's definitely not true.
Yeah, it's only true up to a point, right? That you have to work hard to get ahead. But it's not the people who are working the hardest who are getting ahead. It's the people who are working hard and building relationships and being strategic and speaking out to help create change and building their brand. So the biggest misconception, or the way that we sabotage ourselves, is saying, if I just work harder, I'll get ahead. Well, no. I mean, I look at it, like I said, like you said in the introduction, I've coached Fortune 500 CEOs. These are not people who are going to find a cure for cancer, right? They're not, I'm not saying they have the biggest IQs, but they're smart, they're capable, and they've learned how to work the system. And I think women and people of color need to do the exact same thing.
Wow, Doc, now that you mention it, because I was a work hard advocate, but now you just converted me, because all the other elements that you mentioned, like reinforcing the brand, that's exactly what I had to do. In addition to working hard, you have to distinguish yourself. So these are powerful words and powerful advice.
Thank you. I'm glad that you agree with that, because many of us grow up hearing those words, right? That, work hard, keep your nose clean, and guess what? You'll get ahead. It only gets you so far. Hard work is actually table stakes. It gets you to sit at the table, right?
No, but you're right. And in my example, not to make this about me, I figured I had to write a book. So when I was in law school, after law school, I was approached about a book, and I said to myself, how do I distinguish a brand? How do I distinguish myself from other lawyers? So you're absolutely right. It's about thinking strategically. I never thought of it that way, but you did powerful words of advice. That's why people need to read your book. How did your early career shape your understanding? How did your early career shape your understanding of workplace dynamics? Because workplace dynamics also pivotally important, no, Doc?
Yeah, they absolutely are. And many times we call those politics, workplace politics. Yep. And women in particular find that offensive. And they often say, I don't come to work to play the politics. Well, what I learned from my own experience working in Fortune 500 companies, both as a consultant and as an employee, is that politics is just the business of relationships. You can replace the word politics with relationships. If you look at Washington, D.C., right? Isn't that what politics, up until recently, has really been about? It has been the business of relationships. And that's why bipartisanship was so successful for so long, because Democrats had good relationships with Republicans, and they worked together to get things done. And what's happened more recently is those relationships have broken down, and that's where we see things stalled and stagnate. It's the same thing in the workplace, that in order to get your job done, do it well and do it efficiently, with as much ease as possible. I'm not saying it should be easy, but it shouldn't be like, a gargantuan task to get your work done. The more relationships you have in place, the easier it's going to be. Because you're going to help other people, they're going to help you, you're going to share information, and people are going to cut you slack. And that doesn't happen when you don't have the relationships in place. And so when you talk about workplace dynamics, to me, relationships are at the core of workplace dynamics.
Well, you know what, Doc? Well said. I've been telling Mert he should run for office, and my advice to him was exactly that. Politics is all about relationships. Did I not tell you that, Mert?
You absolutely did, but you also haven't contributed to the fund, so you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth there. Be my biggest contributor, and then we can make this campaign a reality.
He wants me to contribute to the Mert campaign fund. All right, but Doc, look, we have to take a quick commercial break, Doc. But have no fear, Dr. Lois P. Frankel will be rejoining us after these messages. For more information about the good doctor, visit her website. It's LoisFrankel.com. That's DR, as in doctor, of course, LoisFrankel.com. You'll find her book, Nice Girls Don't Get to Go in Her Office. I love that title, on Amazon and wherever books are sold. And we'll post those links, Doc, on our website, Shake It Off Live. Now, you better stay right where you are. Dr. Lois Frankel is back after the break with more of her sharp, practical insight on leadership, confidence, and why your career deserves better than playing small.
We ain't looking for a straight line road. We like sparks when the gravel throws us. Country girls don't scare easy. Boots kicked off and we run that free. Laugh too loud, ride too fast. Middle of nowhere, making it last. We don't wait for the world to turn. We light it up just to watch it burn. Hearts on fire, yeah, that's how it feels. You can't tame us, country girl.
And now it's time for the Cat's Corner.
This is John Katsimatidis with the Cat's Corner. The real heroes of the American economy for many, many years, 100 years, 200 years, has always been the small business. The family restaurant, the hardware store, the local contractor, the dry cleaner. All these are small businesses. And you need both to have a enriched community. Kelly Laufer, who is the small business administrator and has been on my show, wants to be able to lend money and create more small businesses that will surround the new companies that are coming back to the United States of America. President Trump says he's got commitments for $19 trillion in new businesses. Well, we need small businesses to work, to make the big businesses work for both the community and the nation. If you're a small business, contact the Small Business Administration and see what they can do to help you make America grow. That is today's Cat's Corner. I'm John Katsimatidis.
Join John Katsimatidis on Cats and Cosby weeknights at 5 and the Cats Roundtable Sunday mornings 8 to 10 on AM 970, The Answer.
Close your eyes and see it. A private island in the Bahamas, powder white sand under your feet, Jamaica's lush mountains rising out of the sea, crystal clear waters in the Cayman Islands, sun-drenched streets, and ancient culture in Cozumel. Now step aboard a luxury ship where everything is handled. First-class dining, relaxed elegance. No packing and unpacking, just experience. And at the center of it all, conversations that matter. Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn. Live, unfiltered, engaging with you. Meet them, talk with them, share meals, build relationships with people who think like you and value what you value. This is more than a vacation. It's a celebration of 250 years of American freedom, set against the most beautiful backdrop in the Caribbean. Text Cruise to 94878 to book your cabin. 7 days, November 14th through 21st. The Gulf of America Cruise. Book now. Text Cruise to 94878.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
If you're a local business and want to see what Salem Surround can do for you, Google Salem Surround New York. Remember to Google Salem Surround New York today.
Everything old is new again on Nostalgia Tonight with Joe Sibilia. Join Joe as he celebrates the people, places, and phenomena that shaped popular culture. Sunday nights at 10 on AM 970, The Answer.
AM 970, The Answer.
Country girls don't scare easy. Boots kicked off and we run that free. Laugh too loud, ride too fast. Middle of nowhere, making it last. We don't wait for the world to turn. We light it up just to watch it burn. Hearts on fire, yeah, that's how it feels. You can't tame us, country girls.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Hold your breath for the hold on tight. Better hold your breath for the ride all night. We're a little sweet little gasoline. Strike that match, see what we mean.
I love that music. Some great music today, Alex. Well done. We're joined again by Dr. Lois P. Frankel. She's a best-selling author, executive coach, and one of the clearest voices in modern leadership. She's back with us now to push the conversation forward. But before we do, I want to remind everyone to check out Dr. Frankel's website. It's drloisfrankel.com. That's drloisfrankel.com. And you'll find her book, Nice Girls Don't Get to Go in Her Office, on Amazon and wherever books are sold. And we'll also have those links on our website, shakeitofflive.com. So let's continue the discussion. I'm going to throw to you, Mert.
Well, the thing that I would like to know, because, you look out for women, and that's remarkable. But what are some of the things that they have to watch out for when you do make it to the corner office? Because, getting there, that's one side of it. But the other side is once you finally in that spot, the pressure of also being a woman and being CEO or being the head executive, that could be a lot. So when they finally reach that corner office, what do they look at? What are they supposed to look out for? What are some of the challenges when they reach that position?
That's a great question, and I've never been asked that before, Mert. So I'm going to give you an answer right off the top of my head. But what comes to mind is I have a really good friend, and she's also, we co-authored a book together, and she's an attorney. Mm-hmm. And when people ask her, what's the most important thing for a woman to get the corner office, she said it's the choice of your partner. Now think about that, right? She says it's the choice of a partner because you can't get ahead without the right people in your corner. So in answering your question, that comes to mind, that I think women, whether they have partners or don't have partners, if they're going to have the most senior position, they have to have help, support, and advocacy. And unfortunately, most women think that they have to do it all alone, right? I mean, that's how they got there. They were probably just, really driven and focused, and they got there on their own because there wasn't a lot of people helping them. And then they get there, and it's overwhelming. And what they need to understand is nobody does it alone. There's that old saying, behind every great man, there's a great woman, right?
Right.
And then it goes, and behind every great woman, there's herself. So, but I think women really need to learn from men in terms of that, and that if you have a family, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I need some help at home. I may need to have a caregiver for my children. I may need somebody to clean the house. I may need somebody to pick up the kids at school. You can't do it all and be successful and maintain your sanity, right? A lot of times we talk about, can women have it all? My feeling is, yes, we can have it all. We can't have it all at the same time. I can't be a corporate CEO and be expected to bring cookies to my child's class every Monday morning. I may be able to do it sometimes, but I'm not going to be able to do it in the way that someone who doesn't have the same kind of job that I have can do it. But I can arrange for it to be done. I can still be part of my child's school and life, of course, and you should be. But that's what I think. I think that's what you have to watch out for, is the doing it all. And I appreciate that question.
But isn't the challenge to find the right partner, Doc, then? Because that adds a whole other layer of trouble, no?
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? Particularly since there's been a lot of research lately that shows that women are foregoing relationships because they realize if they want to get ahead, it's too much of I don't want to say it's too much of a drag on them to be in a relationship, but finding, like when you say finding the right person to support you in your quest for major career success, it's hard.
It's almost impossible, Doc, because you have a lot of men that are insecure, and they may, either sabotage the relationship or somehow impede growth. I mean, that's not the ugly reality, because I've seen it. I've seen it, Doc.
Yes. Yeah, you've seen it, and they're writing about it now. And they're saying, like I said, women are starting to forego having a relationship and having a family with a partner. Many times they'll have a family without a partner, because then they only have more children to take care of. Do you know what I mean? It's like they feel as if their partner becomes another child to have to care for. So finding the right person is, and that's what my friend Carol, Carol Frolinger, she says, it's finding the right partner is what's so important for success. So I agree with you 100%. And there's something else I read in the New York Times this morning, and that was about the birth rate going down. And I think this is all part and parcel, right? That at one point they predicted, what the birth rate should, I think it was something like double every year for a certain period of time.
Right.
But now we see it actually slowing down, and it will be going backwards. And I think that's part and parcel of this desire to have more choices rather than only be a parent. And I think being a parent and the choice to be a mother is wonderful. It's just not the choice everybody makes.
Is that unfair to women to bring that up, that, because women are more driven, that it might lead to a decrease? Is that unfair to bring up? Because I brought this up, and I've been accused of some things on this show bringing that up before. But is that unfair to bring that up, that the more, women get out of the household and they go out there into the workplace and, go further and further and become even more influential than men, the birth rate and families and all that stuff is going to suffer until we figure out that women might have to look at men like men used to look at women in some cases, like, hey, I might have to take care of this guy. And some women don't want to do that, but it might need to be that way, where women are taking care of men, because you might make 2-3 times more than a guy you like.
Well, and we do see that happen, and we do see that there are stay-at-home dads, right? Mm-hmm. And when you say suffer, that was your word, not mine. I didn't say the birth rate would suffer. I said that it may go down. And I don't necessarily see that as suffering per se, because the pendulum swings in all kinds of directions. Then you also have now the whole trad wife movement, right? That there are women who want to stay home, raise families, and be traditional wives. And isn't it great that they have that choice?
Amen. There is nothing wrong with that. But let me ask you, Doc, for those that are aspiring for the coroner office, and they, of course, forego relationships, as you mentioned, doesn't that reinforce loneliness? Because earlier in the show, we were talking about the loneliness epidemic. Doesn't that contribute to loneliness and lead to problems?
Yes, but I also think it happens to men. We've heard that saying, it's lonely at the top, right? That doesn't just apply to women. That applies to men too. And I've seen that as an executive coach, that the higher men go, the fewer close relationships they have that they can really trust and count on. Because once you become the CEO of your company, who are you going to be talking to about your problems? It's usually not going to be somebody who reports to you, right? And that's what has made the coaching business so lucrative for so many people, that they need to have somebody who's going to be a sounding board too. So when you say that it can be lonely, yes, and it's lonely for men too. So, and again, that's why I keep going back to, I don't like to paint one group with the same brush. And it doesn't mean that women can't have a relationship. They may not be able to have a traditional relationship. They may have to pay for more help than they'd like to. They may have to have a stay-at-home dad. Oh, can I tell you a quick story?
If we have like a minute, go, Doc, go.
Okay, in my book, Nice Girls Don't Get Rich, I talk about this woman who turned her money over to her husband to manage. She was a doctor. He was a stay-at-home dad. The financial planner goes to the woman who's a doctor and says, your husband's not doing a great job managing your money, and I think you should know it. And the wife says, you know what? Let's not worry about that. He feels badly enough that I'm the breadwinner. Now, what guy would say, let my wife lose my money because she feels badly that she's a stay-at-home mom? So, we see the whole spectrum of what goes on when there's power differentials at home.
Unfortunately, Doc, we got to have you back on because this has been such a great discussion, but we've run out of time. For more information, visit drrn.com. DrLoisFrankel.com. That's DrLois Frankel, Frankel.com. You'll find her book, Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office, on Amazon, wherever books are sold, and we'll have links, shakeitofflive.com. Doc, thanks so much for coming on the program. Hope you had fun.
I did. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Well, my friends, that concludes show number 105. That's over 2 full years of live programming, and today is our 3rd anniversary. Thank you for spending our 3rd anniversary with us. Special thanks to the Murdinator, Mert Roberts, my co-host, for 105 amazing episodes, 210 hours of live entertainment. And to Alex Garrett, thank you. Couldn't have done it without you either. And to everyone behind the scenes at AM 970, Laura Shaver, Matthew Sample, and Joe Sabia, Frank Volpe, Ryan Pagano, Garrett Fassar, and of course, Ermine Santos in Master Control. Thank you. Also, check out my movies. Oh, Manor of Darkness. New York Times loved it. Tells everybody to watch it. And coming up next, 9 p.m., my favorite show, Culinary Confidential, with Christina Cates. Thanks so much for allowing us to be on the air for 2 great years. Season 3 has only just begun. Same time, same place, next week. Ciao, ciao.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.
In a world that screams for your attention, there is a place that invites you to peace. You don't need a building. You don't need a choir. You just need to turn your heart to Air One.
Air One, songs that heal, lyrics that pray for you when you don't have the words.
From Lauren Daigle to Elevation Worship and more.
This isn't just radio. It's worship for the everyday.
Escape the noise and worship now.
Download the Air One app. Ask your smart speaker to play Air One or visit air1.com. Air One, worship now.